Hi, I'm Laurie Dobson, and it's Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, on Great Cranberry. And I had some inspiration this morning. It's early, so I thought I'd let the dogs out and come out here. The sun just became high in the sky. Oh my gosh, it was so pretty here. It's going to be a beautiful day. Oh my goodness, it's really begun in earnest. Spring has begun. Letting my dogs out, and there they are. Oh, they're happy. Yeah, yesterday, it's kind of funny thing. I was trying to, in winter, dachshunds, particularly of any breed, but anyway, they're hard to housebreak. And after a winter being inside, it's a tricky thing. So, gosh, it's still kind of brisk. I'm gonna walk back. Oh, I'm still in fleece, so that's okay. It's fresh, it's spring. It's wonderful. So anyway, dogs were inside trying to understand my new rules for bathroom behaviors. We have little pee pads we put down for them. And there, I'm gonna sit down. Sorry for the turning around. We have little pee pads for them, and it's hard. They're getting older. They're almost 9, and it's hard for them to get through a night. So, I yesterday was trying to impress upon them, go on the pee pads. They know about it, but things get kind of confused sometimes. And so I went around the house going, okay, and I'm, going in the dining room, in the living room. Okay, no poopy, no poo-poos, no pee-pees, yes, poo-poos, yes, pee-pees on the pee pad, right? The whole 9 yards. Anyway, so I came back into the room, and they were up on a low, it's like a table with a pad on it. It's like a bed, and they're like in the middle of the living room. It's sort of like a coffee table, and they're like both of them looking at me expectantly, saying, "See, Mom, we're not on the floor." And I'm thinking, puppies. And then they went like, and I realized, oh my God, it's like puppies and pee-pees, right? The words are, it's, and I think I'm being so clear, and they're thinking no puppies allowed on the floor. And it just made me realize, even my dogs, after all this time, and they know what I'm talking about, I think, but maybe not, because for them to think, okay, to make Mom happy, we can't be on the floor anymore. And oh no, my communication is really, so there are 2 ways of thinking about things. That quote, the F. Scott Fitzgerald quote, I memorized it and I forget it. It's the quality of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold 2 opposing views and still be able to function. And I think that's incredible quote. I've heard it said different ways, but to think that I can have a contribution with these videos and yet have communication that goes so haywire sometimes. And I was thinking to a video back that I already did, and it's like I was trying to explain what I meant by my particular issues with communication. Not that other people can see you easier than you can see yourself sometimes, and a good friend will tell you exactly what's the issue with you. And I think the difference is, when you hear it from a friend, you can say, no, that wasn't what I meant, and they believe you. It's like there are always going to be mistakes in communicating, and you can either just shut up and censor yourself or not. And I like, there's so many views out there right now. People I respect, the nephew of John Kennedy, is on the record being an anti-vaxxer and horrifically opposed to all of what's going down right now in the approach that's being used, and so many people respect. So, I mean, how do you understand how to proceed when people with great integrity, other people as well that I've listened to for a long time, are adamant that we're becoming an authoritarian state, where they're going to mandate things on us, and vaccines cause autism and this and that, and yet if you don't wear a mask or get a vaccine, we'll never get through this because we'll keep reinfecting ourselves. And, I mean, like, all of these things make so much good sense. But in the middle of it, I think what happens is we tend to fall on different sides of the line from one day to the next, even based on what we're told. And I think the real crisis right now is there's nothing that seems to be tying it all together. And sometimes my default position is listen to Governor Cuomo, because he's just really practical. He's just dealing with the facts on the ground. And, you know, so, but as far as my own personal communication, and talking about how friends can be a good barometer for things, I had a friend Sue come back this week and is dealing with quarantine, and she's been reading my posts and things, and we don't agree politically necessarily, you know, which is fine by me. And a friend, I kind of value friendships with people that I don't agree with or know their perspectives, because then I can learn things from them that I maybe not getting, you know. And she said, well, I think one of the issues you have with people, Laurie, is that you, I hope she's okay with, I'm going to ask her before I post this. So, but she was saying, you come off as sounding superior to other people, or arrogant, like you're trying to tell them something. And I said, you know, I said, well, I like to use words that are bigger because I don't want to dumb myself down. And she said, see, there you go. You're making it, you're judging people who don't have, you know, that's exactly what the issue is thinking that anything less than how you come across is not as smart as you. And I said, well, actually, where it comes from is for years being married to somebody who had gone to Harvard, 10 years older. I was never good enough, and I was always questioned on everything to improve me, you know, because I came from Maine and I was of peasant stock, supposedly, or I came from public education, or, you know, I wasn't, you know, I was more, you know, from Maine. I was a Yankee, and I moved to New York City for 2 years and lived in Connecticut for, you know, 23 years. And I tried to adjust to a different way of being and talking, thinking and doing things. And I didn't, and I had to learn how to talk like an Ivy Leaguer, you know, and I adjusted, but, you know, in my heart of hearts, I wasn't home until I was here, back in a place I, you know, relate to more. And, you know, my dad was in the Air Force, so I was in 10 places before I was 5, you know, and then I was in Oklahoma for 5 years. So it's like I've had a pretty round the country education. But it was an institution that was extremely concentrated on its own moral high ground, and you know, you couldn't tell us in the Air Force, as an Air Force family, that we were not on the path, because the sacrifice was so extreme. And I wrote an article the other day about the liberation of Saigon and the end of the Vietnam War. And I remember how that was for my dad. And there was a movie I just saw last night. I just want to talk about that for a second, because it helped me understand so much. It's called The Last Full Measure. And it's about how people went through such horror in their mind, but what carried them, what kept each other going, was a seared in sense of honor and doing things that were unconscionable, that you couldn't manage, you couldn't think a human could do, but for the sake of country and what country demands of you sometimes is the last full measure of devotion, is what it's called. It's quoting from Lincoln, you know, his second inaugural address. Let us, in mercy for the widow and her orphan, to do all that we must to, I think it's sustain and cherish a just and lasting freedom for ourselves and among all people. I memorized it when I was running for office once. Anyway, so in the movie, it's like this guy he'd gone back to Vietnam and made a beautiful butterfly farm, and he called it Avalon. And the place was the site of Abilene, which was where this private died, an enlisted Air Force man that died in Vietnam. And it's about his buddies and how they handled it, and how they were still trying to cope with giving him enough honor and appreciation these many years later. And it just made it real to me that people that go through so much in their own lives, things that matter so much to them, other people couldn't give a fig about, because it's not their, you know, problem. Like it's not their emergency. It's not their circus, you know, it's not their monkey, whatever they say, you know, it's like, if it's not your issue, you don't have to care about it. And I just think that's the main concern I have about living on an island. Every day I have to remind myself, no matter what I think or feel, it's not other people's experience, and they don't have to care about me. It's not that I have to just change myself to mold into somebody else's comfort zone pattern so they can work with me, but it is about me understanding that I don't necessarily bring anything to the table here that's needed, wanted, or anything. But what I do bring is another human being, another person, another life being lived here. And I value, and just so do other people in equal measure. And that we're all working together to manage something so tremendously huge and beyond our abilities to cope with it. And I think one thing I bring to these islands is I've been through so much change. I've had to change so many parts of myself to adjust to different places and lifestyles and understandings, and I've challenged myself to meet them and to adjust and to learn, and to know that part of my gift is an open mind sometimes, even when I'm wrong. I you know, and adamant about certain things. I listen because I have to learn, because like Eleanor Roosevelt said, how else will I learn? You know, she was sitting in all these cabinet meetings willing to just listen. So listening to islands is sort of what I'm trying to get down to, I guess, in my topic here, which is running on. But I hope you can make some sense out of what I said today. It meant enough to me to jump out of bed and get on the video. So have a wonderful Cinco de Mayo, everybody, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.